Greetings, fellow adventurers, and welcome to the Couple of Nerds podcast. I'm DnDWife, the creator of DnDWifeStories.com, and your co-host. Joining me is the man behind the screen, my brilliant dungeon master, and also my husband, Eguile. Say hi, Eguile.
Hey everyone, excited to be here sharing our nerdy adventures with all of you.
Absolutely. So what's Couple of Nerds all about? Well, we're diving into the realms of Extraeus, sharing our experiences, playing D&D in our apartment, and exploring the intricate tapestry of relationships both in and out of the game.
And we got some exciting segments for you all, from lore deep dives to crafting tips, artwork showcases, and relationship advice on and off the table. We've got a little bit of everything for every kind of adventurer.
So whether you're a seasoned adventurer or a tabletop newbie, we invite you to join us today. Tune in, relax, and enjoy the magic of Couple of Nerds. May your rolls be natural 20s and your adventures be legendary. Welcome to our Couple of Nerds podcast. This is episode 5. You heard it from us, rolling in harmony, navigating tabletop adventures as a dynamic duo. Welcome back to our Couple of Nerds podcast. I'm DnDWife, your co-host, and with me is Dungeon Master Eguile.
How's it going, everyone?
It's going pretty good for us over here, and you know, we've been together for quite a bit now. I think we've dated for, we dated about 10 years ago, and then we got married 8 years ago.
Yeah, it's been quite a wild ride.
Almost a decade. Oof. That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it started as that tale as old as time, meeting in college, except for I was your coach and not a fellow student.
Yeah. Well, you were like a pseudo coach, so he wasn't like a teacher or anything.
No, nothing like that.
He had graduated and he was an active part of the team, and he was taking on a sort of coach position when I joined, and we just kind of hit it off.
Oh, yeah. It's that we always say is that spark you can find with somebody, and I happen to marry my best friend.
Yeah, me too.
And it kind of shows, because everything we do is usually tailored towards some sort of group activity.
I love doing things with you.
Yeah, it started as we talked about in the very first episode. We used to just play Final Fantasy XIV online all day.
And that was super fun.
That was our first foray in going on adventures together, but in a virtual fantasy experience.
Yeah, it was nice to move through raid quests and stuff like that and know that somebody had my back.
Yeah, and I think we just found that was what we loved, but we really wanted something more, and because of that, it allowed us to really tap into something that worked really well between us and really kind of created a stronger bond for our marriage.
Yeah, I think that's why we do so well at D&D, because we've kind of learned how to be a couple first.
I mean, hey, couples that go to battle together stay together.
Yes, sharing the blood.
But it's not always good things. Obviously, the dynamic
issues
between being husband and wife, DM and player, it always causes some unique pros and cons. Yeah,
there can be drawbacks sometimes to being a couple that plays TTRPGs together. We have had some unique experiences because you are the dungeon master and I'm a player.
Yeah, it's always tough to not spoil things or make you feel bad because I happen to do something horrible to your character.
Or feel bad for keeping things from me. Because you feel like you're keeping secrets.
Yeah, or the times where I have to tell you, well, I told you that, but it's not really what actually happened.
Yeah, because you can't share a lot of the things, you know?
And there has to be kind of that understanding, and that's kind of the first thing when we got into this was, hey, we have to make sure that we trust each other, and that we had an understanding that, being a DM and a player is going to cause a little bit of a rift, and that we had to be ready for anything.
Yeah, I feel like I felt then that I knew you well enough that I could trust you as my dungeon master, that you weren't going to make it like some weird, horrible thing. It was fairly fun to jump into an adventure.
And we had already had so much fun catering together in a company. We had worked as a, summer school, cleanup crew for our college together. So this was just another way that we could see the benefits come through. And there are quite a few benefits.
Oh, yeah. We share a lot of hobbies. One of them, like you said, is playing video games together.
Oh, yeah.
We love doing that. And if you hop on our Discord, sometimes you might find us playing together on some of these games. But it's not just that. We've also bonded over crafting for the table. We've had a really fun time crafting some of the terrain pieces.
And there's something about, even though these are adventures in our mind, it really feels like we've gone on experiences together, and that we've adventured to mountaintops through the NPCs or the villains I have created, I was right there next to you.
Yeah, and even though it wasn't always as a player, we've played every now and then together on one-shots and things like that, but it was, for the majority of it, you're the dungeon master, I'm the player, and so it's not always easy to feel like you're close to me, but every time I run into an NPC that you've made, that makes me feel closer to you, because I know, oh, that's my DM.
Right, and I think there are certain characters that I've created that I kind of put as the manifestation of myself if I was a player.
Yeah.
Like Growlmore from the original campaign. I feel like really embodied a lot of myself and my willingness to want to help the party.
Yeah, that's why he was our paladin.
Right, and even though he was a broken man and he had struggled a lot, he really showed that he just kind of had that compassion, and it kind of felt that when he was with the party, I was with the party.
Yeah, it was nice because he was that sort of NPC that we kind of latched onto. Not just because he was a paladin and someone with a lot of strength, but he was also a really nice person to our party. Like, our individual characters were all helped by him in some way, psychologically especially.
It was just my way to reach out.
Yeah, it was really nice that Growlmore kind of helped us become a better adventuring party, I think is what it was.
Right, and also we can't say it's always good. There's always going to be hurdles and cons that you're going to have to walk over. Obviously, as a DM, as we already talked, I'm always worried about spoilers. I feel like the thought if I take away some great moment, that breathtaking, and to think that I might spoil it for you sometimes hurts. I don't want to do that.
That is tough, yeah, because, on the one hand, you don't want to keep anything from me because that feels weird. But on the other hand, you can't tell me everything, and I feel the same way. I can't know everything because then it takes me out of the experience too.
Yeah, it's always kind of a funny conundrum as a husband DM where you're like, I gotta hide the secret that this antagonist is actually going to steal the rod tomorrow, and you have other people going, wait, you're upset because you're hiding what from your wife?
Yeah, it's an imaginative thing,
it creates
but still.
But I think the bigger overall, and especially when it comes to the tabletop community, is preferential treatment.
Yeah.
And we've always tried to very much dance that delicate line that, oh, well, the DM's helping you. Oh, the DM gave you items because you're the wife.
Yeah.
If anything, we always joke in that I probably treat you the worst at the table.
And we kind of make it a point to do that so that there isn't this talk of preferential treatment, because it's happened before where people have said, oh, you've gotten this and you've gotten that. And then I look back and I'm like, yeah, but then it got taken away or it got destroyed.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're always,
it hasn't always been great.
If I have to make a modification, you're always usually the first person that I'm like, okay, honey, I need you to change this. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's fine. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, which is always nice because you are kind of that one that's going to be more willing to take it on the chin and just be like, yeah, no, it's kind of that responsibility you took as being the wife of the dungeon master.
Yeah, well, for me also, bad things that happen in D&D, like losing items or, getting them stolen or destroyed or something like that, that is not a bad thing to me. Bad things need to happen in life, even in an imaginary life, to kind of show the player or the character how good the good aspects of life can be.
Oh yeah, and of course, we talk a lot about, inside the game itself, but there are a lot of real life troubles that can come about through having this kind of close relationship in such an activity as D&D.
Yeah, and I've found that for some of our players, D&D has really been this cathartic experience that helps them through very difficult moments.
Oh yeah. Shout out to Mullen, one of our original characters, and the player himself, his wife passed away when we had just gotten started mid-campaign.
Oh, it was his mother.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, his mother.
Yeah, his mother had cancer for a few years at that point, but it got really bad towards the end there when we started our first table ever. Started because he was going through a tough time, and we wanted to give him an outlet for that.
Oh yeah, because these things can happen, and D&D is something that can help you with that, and it's not something to hide from, but maybe embrace as a way to experience and go through trauma.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's like an alternative to psychological help or anything like that, but it really helps to know that regardless of what you're going through in your everyday life, you can always come join a table of adventurers and forget about that for a moment and focus on a common goal together.
Oh yeah, and a thing to remember is that not every significant other plays together.
Yeah,
And
that's a toughie.
and that is unfortunate because it is such a great activity that you can share with one another. But it doesn't necessarily end there. Just because one partner is playing doesn't mean you can't share the stories with your partner. And hopefully they'd be willing to listen to those stories because obviously they're so important to us that we want to share them with our significant others, even if they don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, we do have a couple players at the table who don't play with their significant others. They spend their days elsewhere doing their own thing. And I know that some of them have expressed a little bit of sadness that they can't share those experiences with that significant other. And it kind of bums them out a little bit, but we know that it's not for everyone. Not everyone's interested in D&D as a game. It's not something that, calls to everybody.
Oh yeah, and then obviously, especially it's difficult when, certain unexpected situations happen. Mm-hmm. We had an incident where you weren't able to go to a session because you couldn't get off work.
Yeah, I worked that day and it seemed a little mean to cancel an entire session just because I couldn't be there.
Yet that was the assumption. It was, wife can't play. That means there's no session today.
Yeah, no, I had to suffer the consequence of that. Sometimes life happens. You can't always make a session, and it's never been with us like, I have that preferential treatment where if I can't be there, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It was the strangest session I've done because it was the only session I've ever done with you not right next to me there participating.
That was a little weird. And then I did come home early enough that the session was still going on, and I just kind of slunk to the back bedroom.
You sequestered yourself in the back, not wanting to ruin and learn anything you hadn't learned yet.
Yeah, so I put on a couple headphones and just binged on my phone until you guys were done.
Yeah, because, with these ideas, and stuff that you really can't prepare for, the biggest thing to always remember is respect and trust are key.
Yes.
We're coming together to play a game and enjoy it because we love coming together and playing this game. Mm-hmm. But we always have to respect and trust that we always have the greatest wishes for each other.
Yeah.
I wish to have you have this amazing experience that you can go out and explore, and I can kind of be there guiding you all the time. And I want to do that every day I can.
Yeah. And, hearing some of the horror stories out there, I had to really learn that, my DM, my husband, is not going to try to just kill me every chance he gets. He really wants to create a story that I can work through. And there might be some bad parts, that I have to fight through, but it's never done with the intention of putting me down or anything.
Yeah, and I want to push this to everyone out there. Your DM is not your adversary.
Yeah.
I want everyone who's playing to have the most kick-ass adventure they can have. But I also want it to be real.
Yeah.
And I want it to have consequences.
Yeah.
And I want it to feel like you didn't just kind of play a game of Monopoly and got it handed to you.
Or course through something, you
right?
know?
And so that way is great. And so you never should kind of not feel like that.
Yeah, there should be a little understanding that it might not always go your way. You might want to convince someone they're your best friend, but if that's not how the dice rolls, then I'm sorry.
And the DM is just another adventurer that's trying to help you create a great story. Because, if it's not a great story for the players, then it's probably not a great story for the DM either.
Yeah.
And you could be having this mistake and not even realizing it.
It could provide a really strange issue for the table.
Yeah. Everyone's here to play together. Everyone's here to have fun.
Yeah, so definitely respect and trust are key, just off the bat, to make sure that it runs smoothly.
Oh, yeah. And also, just to tag on, be sure to check out our Discord at Extraeus Project. We've been posting various questions and polls across TikTok, across Discord. So be sure to join us there and put in your input and give us some more advice and maybe some questions as well.
Yeah.
But our most recent poll, what did we find out?
We found out that quite a few people are starting to play with their significant others. It's not a lot, but the tables are kind of turning. Where more and more couples are starting to play together and have fun.
Oh yeah, and we ran a poll on our Discord asking if people would, not only if they did or didn't play with their significant other, but if they wished they could.
Yeah.
And we're seeing a very big push for hoping that their partners could join them. And we feel like that's a common issue that a lot of other couples might have, and that it's not something that you should view as a bad thing, and that it's something that maybe you actually can find a different way of connection. not D&D particularly. It doesn't have to always be high fantasy.
Yeah, you can go into other different worlds. Like, let's say your significant other is really into a specific book setting or TV show setting. Maybe you can try to play a little one-shot in there and kind of show them how imagination can take you anywhere you'd like.
And one way that we also try to encourage to have like significant others come is we call it the page system.
Yes.
So what it is any moment you can bring your guest with you, and sure, they're a couple levels beneath your character, but they're merely a vassal to you, a fanboy or girl to your heroing adventure, which allows your partner to experience a little bit of the table without really having to get their feet really wet, and have an excuse to stay right by your side in case they have any questions, concerns. But they also get to see a little bit of your world, even if it's only for one session.
Yeah, they don't even really have to speak. They can just hang back, kind of observe. And then if they do want to jump in, they have that option too. It's really nice because they don't feel obligated to be a part of it necessarily.
And we've had a couple of players take us up on the offer and bring in various friends or hopefully potential friends in that case, and try to get them to see just how much they love this activity and what they can, give to their other person.
And it has had mixed success. Sometimes the significant other's not really into it and they don't want to come again, but we've gotten quite a few who were expressed an interest and were like, ooh, I kind of want to see this again, see where it goes.
Oh yeah. And the big thing, too, that we really push for more couples to join the TTRPG community is just what it brings and the experiences. You can deal with things like, paying a mortgage, doing your taxes, and those things, it's life. But going out and adventuring in far distant worlds and places with your partner and experiencing conflicts that wouldn't happen any other way. But because you get to have these experiences, how do you deal with your partner stealing your treasure or your loot? You don't deal with that in the real world.
No.
But you get to have fun. You get to take tasks and conflicts that you normally would just be subsumed with in the real world and put a fun spin on it.
Yeah, create a whole story out of it, bring your significant other into it with you and make it a more fun kind of conversation for everybody. It's fun to see people playing together. I really enjoy it just because I feel closer to you. Sometimes it helps, I think, with our communication. Being able to tell you some things that are on my mind is a little easier sometimes because I feel like we can communicate better.
Yeah, and there's something about the assuming the role of a character. It's not necessarily you. It's not Jane Doe and John Smith playing a game.
Yeah.
It's these adventurers, these people with these rich lives and backstories that you can play off with one another and have a lot of actual fun with your partner.
Yeah, and you don't always have to, just because you are a couple in real life, doesn't mean you always have to play a couple in real life. That is something I feel like is a big trope that is pushed upon couples who do play.
Yeah. I've noticed
tough.
that where it's like, oh, just be boyfriend, girlfriend, just be husband and wife.
It's easier.
But at the same time,
do you
really want easier?
Yeah, easy's not fun.
Be combative rogues that wish to outrogue each other.
Yeah.
And kind of find ways to get in each other's way and distract or cause their caper to fail.
Yeah, rivals or nemesis, you're actively working against each other.
Now, it's going to sound a little weird and it's a little different. But siblings.
That's fun, too.
It sounds weird because obviously, you're with your significant other, nothing you want to say. But it creates a really interesting dynamic in the game in that you can have more fun, more play with each other, still having a connection with the sibling connection, but being able to kind of explore more fun out there and kind of trying to see what other little limits you can push.
Yeah, and changing those roles sometimes helps in encouraging that communication. Sometimes what you can't say as a couple, you can say as someone's best friend or someone's enemy.
And always remember, though, and this is a big thing we always push, is that, especially when playing with your significant other, your other person is still a character. So there can be situations where another player at the table wants to romance your significant player's character.
Yeah, that's a toughie. In our first campaign, I remember another player wanted to romance my character player.
Oh yeah, and I remember he came up to me and was like, "Hey man, is this okay? I don't want to over." And I'm laughing because it's like, yeah, it's not my wife, it's her character. You can write all the poems and sonnets you want. I actually thought it was great because it just shows that this person saw past the fact that you're my wife and saw you just as another player.
Yeah, it wasn't about him romancing another player at the table. It was about the dynamic inside the game that was fun.
Yeah, and those situations can be very interesting as if you're both two players on the table and you see them engaging, and it's like, how can I either mess with this, or maybe now my character sees the real beauty of this person, and now I'm gonna make this love triangle just to make it even more awkward and fun.
And it wasn't easy. Our characters had to figure out ways to like fit better together too, because we were very different people when we started. So that was a unique way to help our friendship too.
Oh yeah, and like for this new campaign in Extraeus, we actually have, for the first time, we actually have an actual couple playing at our table.
Yeah.
Normally it's just been you and me for the longest time, but it's nice to see both a 2-player couple on the table. And you know, of course, I had to do my own little finagling with the story a little bit. And it made for a pretty funny twist in that one of our players was a pirate and was given the task of delivering cargo across the ocean and just was given a manifest and given the objects. And another player was told this long backstory of long ago, and then they were captured and really had no idea where they were going or where they were put in the story, because it was completely kept hidden from them.
Yeah, and they were done completely separately too.
And I made sure that they were done at separate times, so it never really was connected. So you got the boyfriend who's saying, I got cargo, and it's these things and whatever. I just
gotta drop them off.
Only then to realize as session 0 is rolling down that the cargo is in fact one of the other players who happens to be his significant other.
Yeah.
I just thought that made for such a great dynamic as they started with this kind of adversarial of, well, wait, you're my cargo and you're my captor,
but we're part of the same party.
I think it broke a lot of the nerves of being new players.
Yeah, and they didn't have to feel like they didn't feel like they had to fit the role of couple at the table. I think that's a big thing.
And that's, I think, a lot of worries with couples. It's going, oh, well, I'm playing with my boyfriend or my girlfriend, my wife, my husband. I'm going to have to be their XYZ.
Yeah, we never want to make anyone feel like they have to play a certain way or do a certain thing.
No, because the adventure is the adventure itself. It's going with the people. Don't, you know, if it feels like just another reason or another thing that you have to be a couple in, that's not fun. That's not the excitement that you can get in a tabletop game.
And sometimes changing it up can change the way you communicate with that partner. Like I said, it's easier sometimes to share your thoughts when you're not thinking in the context of a couple.
And one good way that I recommend, and I haven't had anyone really take me up on this offer, so if anyone out there does, please let me know on Discord. Gender swap.
Oh, that's fun.
If you swap out, now you're the female and the other's the male. And now you're dealing with that kind of, where now, how does the other one act?
Or however
as the
you
other?
feel. Yeah, exactly.
And that could lead to some very, I think, interesting story dynamics of kind of role reversal in a much deeper sense.
Yeah, that can be really fun. And see how the other person kind of acts in that way, what they bring to the table as well. And it helps kind of put yourself in the other person's shoes sometimes.
Right. I mean, I gotta say, you know, we've been doing this for 5 years, and I have never looked back. I've had some of the most amazing adventures with you, and that's really kind of the main reason we're wanting to start this podcast.
Yeah,
was
it's been super fun.
Another way for us to share these stories. Hopefully others like us can use this advice and apply it to their tables, apply it to their life, and see kind of what we've created and use that to make their own worlds.
Yeah, and while our, you know, I'm not going to go as far to say as our marriage is perfect or anything, because it's not. Yeah. But D&D has definitely helped us become a better couple. And it might not do that for everybody. I don't want to just assume, but for us at least, it has really brought us closer. It has helped us communicate better, and it has kind of added a little flavor to our lives.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's nothing I think that I love more than after a session where we sit down, we put everything away, we take that hard breath, and usually my first question was, so how'd I do?
Yeah.
How'd I do? How was it? What was your favorite part? And I feel like without having that, it would be a different experience for me as a DM.
Yeah, because you'd never really know. You could never get a true gauge on what people thought, especially like right after a session. I know you have sometimes a little bit of anxiety and how it went, how you did.
What DM doesn't?
Right, everybody has that too. They want to make sure they do a good job in whatever they do. So I know that could be an issue, but having that after game moment, I think really helps kind of decompress, share your thoughts, and also kind of reinforce the idea that you're doing a good job.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, the biggest thing I want to stress, overall the pros, the cons, any of that, is just give it a try.
Yeah.
Go out there. Pick up a book. It doesn't even have to be Dungeons and Dragons per se. There are tons of TTRPG programs out there that you can go out. And not even that. You can just go into the world of Harry Potter, in the world of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Any book, TV setting, it can all be a place where you can have an adventure. And that might be a way you can bridge the gap to your significant other as well. If there's a particular setting that they love, you can entice them to join you in a game by letting them know, hey, we're going to be playing in this world. Would you like to see what that's like?
So we're going to give you all a little homework for this one. Go out, talk to your significant other. Ask them what their favorite setting, whether it's a book, movie, television show, ask them. And then when you hear that, say, would you like to adventure in that world one day?
Yeah.
And come back and tell us what that response is. We want to hear and see if maybe you might have more of a connection to start playing than you actually knew.
Yeah, and maybe if the answer is yes, I love this particular place, you might find yourself with a new playing partner. And then, just remember that it's not about where you go in the game. It's not about how much you travel. It's about who you travel with, who you share those experiences with.
Oh yeah, I don't care if we're in the rings of hell or if we're just collecting bunnies in a field meadow.
We could be
I want
stuck
to
in
go
space.
on those adventures with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to go and see you guys grow and watch it. And the only thing I always just get sad with is the curse of being a forever DM.
Yeah.
So I always get to watch you guys grow, and I shape that world for you guys, and seeing that and seeing you grow and seeing all the developments of your characters just brings me so much joy.
Yeah, it's really nice too to kind of give the only thing we can give to you as the DM is our experiences, our growth.
It's all I'm looking for. I write these stories not for me to be the big bad guy or the winner, but to give opportunities for these people's stories to be truly heard.
Yeah.
And that's the real focus on this podcast, is giving the opportunity. These have been such great stories. Why not share them with other people?
Yeah, why not let others know that they're not alone, that there are places where their voice can be heard, where they can say the things that are on their minds without, feeling like they're not going to be listened to. But thank you so much for listening to us, giving us the time of day to come here and share this episode with us. We are so grateful and we're excited to have you.
And keep an eye out for our Discord. We'll be posting more questions, as well as hoping that you guys will send some questions our way. Let us know what kind of struggles you're having with getting your partner to join you in D&D. Maybe we can come together and find a way together to come together.
Yeah, find different solutions together.
But also take a look for our next episode. We're going to be looking into handling interpersonal conflict in the table.
Oh, that's a big one.
Looking at how the ways that we can talk with others, as well as our significant others, to mitigate some of that confusion and kind of anger that can occur in such a high-stakes D&D table.
Yeah, and sometimes it can just be a simple miscommunication or misunderstanding.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
So thank you so much for adventuring with us. Have a wonderful night, and till next time on Couple of Nerds. And that concludes today's journey through the realm of Couple of Nerds. We hope you had a blast exploring the intricate world of Extraeus. Don't miss out on the visual extravaganza over at our YouTube page at Couple of Nerds Podcast. It's where the magic comes to life with exclusive video segments, art previews, and a peek behind the curtain.
Dive deeper into our adventures by visiting DnDWifeStories.com, your haven for all our podcast transcripts and a treasure trove of content dedicated to the captivating universe of Extraeus.
Your unwavering support is our greatest treasure. Take a moment to weave your thoughts into a review and hit that subscribe button for an enchanting journey with Couple of Nerds.
Join us beyond the podcast in the Extraeus Project Discord. Connect with us, the creators, and even the travelers themselves. Witness the magic unfold in live drawing streams, game alongside us, and step into our digital tavern, the Bard's Haven. Share your stories and characters with fellow adventurers. Visit DnDWifeStories.com for the link to join our vibrant community.
Stay tuned for more tales, more laughs, and more insight into the world of tabletop gaming. Until then, may your dice be kind, your campaigns epic, and your adventures legendary.